Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Garage Biljon. You are joining me with my Safari on the driveway. I was expecting this episode to be the replacement of the wheel bearings and the gearbox mount, but unfortunately those are going to take a couple of days to arrive. So what I'm going to be doing this episode, I'm going to wash the car today. I just want to get the gunk off, and I'll be seeing if I can make a light bar on the top of the roof carrier system there, and I'm going to see if I can do something with the front bumper to mount my fog lights. So enjoy me as I get all these things sorted. Alright, so I've got the battery out of the battery tray, and I must admit I'm actually quite happy with the state of this tray. It doesn't look great because it's dirty. I'll clean it some more, but there are no real rust. What is really important, if you have a 924, even a 944, you see those holes down that one there? That's the drain plug. So always make sure that is open, because then the water wouldn't be damming in here, which is what you don't want. Okay, so this is the clamp that holds the battery in place. At the Porsche Center, they said I should replace it. I kind of like the patina on this one. It looks like it was at the bottom of the ocean, but it is complete. It's not rusted away. It might be a little bit thinner than it used to be, but so I'm going to see if I can save this actually, because it's kind of cool. Okay, I wired wheeled it a little bit to just get the worst of the dusty rust off, and I've now got it sitting in the Novarox Stop Rust. I use this on quite a few things. It works really well. So have it sit here for a couple of hours, and it should turn all black. Once that's all black, you know that the rust has been neutralized, and I can give it a lick of paint. Alright, so the engine is clean. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was, and it's a lot nicer to work on an engine that is not full of grease and dirt. One, because it keeps your tools clean, but it's just nicer to work on, and it doesn't smell as bad. So actually it's looking quite good. What I did after I cleaned it, I let it dry in the sun, and I used my favorite product, which is vinyl and rubber care for the engine. And what it does is it just sits on your rubber and your plastic parts, and it gives it a nice coating. It feeds it a little bit, and the benefit of doing that is that the dirt doesn't stick to it as much as it does when they are not coated. So I highly recommend you guys using this. It's 2 minutes worth of work and just rubbing off the excess, and I normally put this on with a brush, and your engine will look a lot better and it'll stay cleaner, which is not a bad thing. So this has now been neutralized, and what I'll be doing is I'll be putting on Hammerite, because Hammerite's very good on rust. You don't need any undercoating, and it really encapsulates the rusts really well. So once I've done that, in theory this should be okay, at least for a couple of months, until I get a bracket. There we go. So that's all done. I always like to make my layers of Hammerite quite thick, because it doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to be functional. So we'll give this a second coat about half an hour, and then we can put it back in the car. Alright, so I've started a disassembly of the front bumper. It's very much the same as the rear bumper, that underneath these two rubbers there are bolts. Again, these are 17 millimeters, and I have taken out the driving lights and the indicators already. That's fairly straightforward to take off. It's just a couple of screws. So I've got the lights on my makeshift workbench here, and most of them are okay. This one I replaced already, the rear, because the previous one was really badly cracked. This one is really rusty, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just heat it up with a wire wheel and give it a coat of hammerite, because this is not great and it needs to be better. I need to stop this rust. It still looks a little bit rusty, but most of the crust is off, and like I said, I'm going to give this a lick of hammerite, and then the remaining rust does not matter. Other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to repaint these frames, get them all nice and black as well, so it'll look nice and fresh when it goes back into the car. Alright, so this one's been painted and it's just drying, and the other one is over here, and this one's also looking a lot better. Alright, so now that they are painted, the next thing to do is to remove the bolt that's there and the bolt that's there, and pull the bumper off the car. There we go. So again, just like the rear bumper, two of these bolts hold the bumper onto their body. So now I'm going to pull the bumper off. One bolt going in there, one bolt going in there, and you just pull it off. It's as simple as that. I am noticing that these bumper mounts are not quite straight, which is explaining why the bumper wasn't aligning very well. So I will most likely be hammering them straight a little bit. Alright, so this is the front bumper. You can see it looks very similar to the rear bumper on the inside. Those two Allen head bolts you see there, that one and that one, is what holds these little bumpers on. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to leave them overnight to soak in a nice bath of penetrating oil, and hopefully tomorrow when I try and take it off, I don't snap it off. Alright, so I've got the bumper back on the car temporarily. I'm not sure these fog lights are going to work the way I want them to. So let me show you these fog lights first. So they are quite big. I mean, if you see them in comparison to the headlights, it's quite a chunk bigger. My idea was that I will bolt this guy in through there somewhere. And what I'm worried about, that I'm going to interfere with my headlights. Let's see if we can at least loosen these bolts. Then I can install it on the car with the light and see what that looks like. But I'm quite worried about these bolts. We'll see. This one's working. Let's hope the rest do too. Above all expectations, I managed to get these two bumper heads off in one piece. Alright, I've got the bumper back on the car again, just shoved over the mounts, not really installed, and I don't think this is going to work. You can see this is hanging a little bit. It'll be probably about there. This fog light in this position will break the beam of the headlight, which is not going to be allowed for roadworthiness. So yeah, I'm going to have to rethink this one. So I've gone and looked on the internet at some other people who's done this before, at what Porsche did in the 80s, and I think I'm going to move it to about this spot. So I'll drill my hole on this side, I'll do an exact mirror on that side, and then we'll see what it looks like. Right, I've got them installed. This is a much better position. As you can see, I had them in here first, and they moved quite a bit to the side and to the back. It's a nice partner for the headlamp instead of a competitor. So this is looking really, really cool. Just look at that. Yeah, that's a Safari, all right. All right, so to get the lights on the roof carrier, I need to make a bar that can carry 4 of these big Rally 2000 lights. And I've been to the hardware store and I've come up with this idea. It's just basically a square cut plate. And I have some more metal bars that I bought as well. And I'll make a whole new front end for this carrier. I'll be painting it matte black again. But then I'll make the 4 holes in the carrier, and then I should be able to mount all the lights. This is the solution, so join me as I try and make this work. Right, so you can see I bought some aluminium square tubing, which is the same length as the ones I already had on this carrier. I'm going to be angling them slightly, and hopefully then if I have the 2 at the same angle, I'll get that plate to just attach to the bar right here. So let's see if that works. Right, so now I've got them in here. They are just held in by the pressure from the 2 sides of the carrier. But let's see if this will work now, and I think it might. Yeah, this is going to work a treat, you see. That's going to work perfectly. I think I need to trim the other side a little bit. Yeah, so I'll need to take off about 1 centimeter from the edge of this. So I'll cut it a little bit shorter, and then I'll add all the bolts that'll keep the 3 parts together. We'll give it some paint, we'll give it a hole, and then I'll be able to mount these 4 lights as well. Let's see if she'll work. Oh yeah. Won't pop her in here. That fits. Alright guys, I'm gonna end the video here because it's getting quite late, and I feel quite chuffed with the fact that I've managed to make this light bar. The next step is to drill the 4 holes in the bar for the driving lights. I'll get that done maybe next week, because tomorrow morning my wheel bearings and my gearbox mount is arriving, and I really want to get this car through the roadworthiness, so I'll be focusing on getting that done, and then we'll play with some more Safari stuff in another episode. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. Until the next time, goodbye.